Tonight we are actually live with John Petrucci in Warsaw for part of the Dream Theatre tour. Hugely excited. We're going to be watching this. Watch this. Fantastic.
Maddie can show you a special guitar there, speaking of something special. So my beard product line is called Nebula.
Yes, indeed.
It was inspired by and named after that instrument right there. It's the Majesty Nebula. You can pick that up if you want.
Wow, that is phenomenal.
That is it.
It's kind of slightly smaller. You know, I mean, I'm not a guitarist, as you may have, but it's slightly smaller than I imagined.
I have worked with Ernie Ball Music Man to come up with that shape called the Majesty. It was something that I started in a conversation with Sterling Ball.
Yes.
And
indeed.
then the head engineer, Drew Montel, got to work on it. And
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful with the mother of pearl inlaid here with the Dream Theatre logo.
Yeah, that's it.
Stunning.
And then I can show you these other ones. We celebrated our 20th anniversary that last year, and this was a special 20th anniversary model.
During a gig, when will you change guitar?
I can show you exactly when we can change. Do you have your list, Maddie?
I do, right here.
Yeah, come up, swing around there.
On the left is the song title, and on the right is the guitar. So M.
Majesty, I'm guessing?
Well, what's your coding?
Main is just shorthand for standard tuning 6-string guitar. The first 3 songs are going to be the Nebula standard tuning 6-string. The next 3 songs are going to be the main 7-string guitar. Then the next batch of main will be, we're going to switch to the Tiger Eye for tonight. Then the 7-string again, and then for the Count of Tuscany it'll be the 20th anniversary guitar.
Yeah. The guitars I've been showing you are all 6 strings. This is a 7-string guitar, meaning it has 1 more string, lower than a 6-string. But this has...
Well, look at that. Isn't that beautiful?
This has 2 more strings. This is an 8-string guitar. Yeah, so you see the neck's a lot wider.
So when you change a guitar in a set, then it's due generally to tuning, not because it's liable to go out of tune and you need a different instrument.
It's due to either the tuning changing of that particular song.
Yeah.
Or whether or not I played it on a 6 or a 7-string or an 8-string.
Cool.
And sometimes just that we want to change up the color. And then if you swing over here, it's a little dark, but this is my signature amplifier. It's called the JP2C. And you have a drawer.
Amazing.
John. Greg. Hello, Richard.
How are you?
Yes.
You well?
Greg. Thank you very much.
Thank you, yeah.
Greg.
This way?
How are you doing? Greg, this way. Come on.
You're doing great.
Hello. Your beard looks really good.
Well, we've just been trimmed by Adam Schultz, one of the top barbers in the whole of Poland. And we're actually guests here of the Barbarian Barbershop in Warsaw.
He did a great job. It was so great to have him trim my beard.
Well, I wouldn't say too much because I haven't paid him and I don't intend to. You've got a really mad, hectic schedule. So, I mean, how often do you actually get to sit down for a time out in the barber's chair?
Never.
Really?
Yeah. I could remember like really feeling like I needed a beard trim, and actually in the UK going, I did some research, and this is before you and I knew each other. You would have pointed me in the right direction, I'm sure, but I kind of did some research and went to a barber there, but usually I'll just either let it go for the tour cycle or do it myself, which is dangerous.
It is dangerous. It's a bit like cutting a leg. Never ever trim my style. It's a bit like cutting a leg or toe.
Right, exactly.
It's also that all our faces aren't totally symmetrical.
Yeah.
So you've got to be so careful. I think it's best to either leave it or leave it in the hands of an expert.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So whereabouts are you on tour? Because we're in Warsaw. When did the tour start? And how far are we in?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. Now, this is always a funny question because it's not that long ago, but my brain just, completely forgot what time I left and what day it is. And we started the tour actually in Tel Aviv, Israel. I think it was about the 13th or 14th of January. So, we're a couple weeks in now. And we're going to until the show in London on the 21st of February. So it'll be about a 6-week tour total. We're not quite halfway there yet.
So it's really quite intense. I was talking to the singer last night, and he was saying you were doing something like 6 gigs in 7 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's grueling.
Yeah. Well, here's a funny thing. Like in the fall of last year, did a solo tour. It was my first solo tour of headlining that I did, and it's all instrumental, my music. So I just told the booking agent, book as many shows as you can in this time period. So we had like 36 shows in, I don't know, something silly, like 50 days. It was just like no days off. It was like 6. And then, but it was fine. It moved fast, and it's instrumental. With Dream Theater, there's more travel involved. There's a bigger production. We have a vocalist. Singers can't sing 7 days a week. They need their rest time. So, when we first came out, between Israel and travel, and then some production days and a couple of days off, I think I played 2 shows in like 9 days. So I was like, this is a vacation compared to my solo tour.
So getting back to the barber chair, so you don't get a lot of time for yourself, but there is that space within the barber shop when you can just kind of let yourself kind of go.
Yeah.
Be looked after, just some small talk and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very relaxing experience.
It's very relaxing, yeah. I mean, I had a great time today, and I just met Adam today, and he was great. But where I live in New York, there's a barber I've been going to for a couple of years who I love. He's great. He does such a great job. His name is Jay Ramos, and he does my beard, and it's just, I look forward to it because it is relaxing. You go in, you see the same faces, everyone greets you, sit down, you're comfortable, you're relaxed. And like you said, you just kind of chat, and he's working on the beard. It's going to look good when you walk out. And it's just kind of that hour or so, of just attention to that.
That trust.
Yeah.
And that rapport, because we've grown our beards.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're very, very important to us.
Right.
If you're in the chair with someone you don't know, you can get nervous. And it's like, oh, okay, I've suddenly got to go and do something now. When you've got that rapport, it's very, very personal.
Especially when they know you, they know what you want, what you like. And it is unnerving, and I've done it before, to go fresh into, a barber shop. And you don't know them, they don't know you, they don't know what you want. You feel like you want to just run out.
Yeah, exactly. I've had that before. You can just tell when they're slightly nervous. Because of that, they're overcautious.
Right.
And you want somebody with a bit of confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, the great thing about a barber, for anybody who's actually growing out their beard for the first time, is to grow it. You've got to let it grow. You know, when you're growing your hair out, you have to hide it in a woolly hat.
Yeah.
It's just like neither one thing or another. So you've got to grow it out. When your parents or your wife or your partner or work colleagues say, "Oh God, you look terrible," you've got to literally grow through that. And by going to see a really good barber, they can have a look at your face shape, and growth. Your growth is going to be all over the place, and create something that is totally suitable.
Exactly.
And accentuates your face shape.
Yeah, and the thing I like about it too is, once you get to that point that you're talking about, and then you get it trimmed or whatever for the first time, or you keep it up, now it becomes a stylized thing. So now it's like, this is something you're doing on purpose. It's not that you hate shaving, and
it's easier to shave.
Yeah,
I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that easy.
Way easier.
It's not that easy.
Way easier to shave. So, when you're walking around with something that's like, it's definitely a statement, but it looks like there's thought that went into it, and there's style, and there's art that went into it. That's the best combination.
And how long have you had your beard?
I mean, I've had some sort of beard since like early 90s. I'm not a full beard like this, but I've had goatees and different versions, yeah. I can't remember exactly when I decided to do the full thing, but it's been a while now.
I think a lot of people have decided they're going to do the full thing because they can.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is true. And it's funny, you know, I'll meet a lot of guys like, oh, you know, your beard looks so cool. And they'll say, I can't grow one. And, you know, you're kind of like, what do you mean you can't grow one? But some, you know, for whatever reason.
It can be genetics.
It could be genetic, your DNA, whatever. You know, so you're right, you know.
Oh, it's when you're older. I mean, when I was 21, I didn't have a hair on my chest. And now I look like some kind of silverback gorilla. But there's another story. Don't bring that up. So Captain Fawcett is absolutely delighted to be collaborating with you to produce the Nebula beard oil range and such. But we're even looking at, this is hush hush, we're actually looking at putting together an eau de parfum. At early stages, we'll keep you all posted. John, you've been growing your beard now for some years.
Yes.
What would be your personal, top-notch beard care tip?
Well, this might sound gratuitous, but I didn't know this at first when I first started growing a beard, that how the product care was such a big part of it. Especially the oil, like just to keep this hair that's really dry, very moist. So I'm fortunate enough to have connected with you. As you know the story. I was a client, customer first.
Yeah.
You know, and then we made a connection that led us to Nebula. But what's great about your products, and in this case, the Nebula, is it does that conditioning thing, which helps to kind of relax all this stuff and make it so it's not fly away crazy, and keep it moist. But also, you walk around with this such a great scent.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Like you walk into a room and it's like, oh, something smells good. And it always sounds funny, but like, oh, it's my beard.
Yeah.
You know.
This is straight from the UK, from Captain Fawcett. Wow, okay. There it is. Nebula. It's my first time seeing this. As promised, comes with a one-of-a-kind limited edition, my signature flow pick by Dunlop, but in Nebula. You pull that out, and I guess this whole thing, yeah. This opens up to reveal not only the beard oil, but the packaging. Wow. That's amazing.
So that, you know, besides the stuff that you and I talked about, which is having a purposeful look of trimming or whatever, the actual care of it, using oils and balms and stuff, that's the biggest thing I see. If I see somebody that has a beard, you know, we're always touring. We're in different states, different countries, different cities. There's all tons of people that work at venues and stuff, drivers and guys in bands, and lots of guys have big beards. And you could tell right away that person has never used any sort of oil or anything. It's one of the first things I say. I'm like, hey, you know, you should try this, because they'll be sitting there and maybe they have like a lot of facial hair, but it's kind of like, you know, and it's like, so that's probably the biggest thing, is that beard care using these products.
So I mean, like brushing it through, combs the natural oils, or brushes the natural oils through, and then using some product.
Yeah.
So if you've got a beard, look after it.
Yeah. Yeah. And make sure there's no food in it, because nobody likes that.
There's nothing worse than when I'm sitting with someone, my wife or somebody, and they can see, and they point. And I say, oh, well, I haven't finished eating yet.
Right, exactly.
It's kind of like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did that to you.
Yeah, you did.
They can't stop looking at that.
It's been told that you love Walt Disney films. Which is your favourite? I presume that's cartoons. Which is your favourite?
Well, I'll say this. I grew up just my family loving Disney. We live in New York, so Disney World is on the East Coast. It's in Florida. So we would always vacation in Florida and drive down it. And we ended up getting so into it, I pass it on to my family. We go all the time. I'm the biggest Disnerd, as they call them. So of course
you don't strut around with one of those huge turkey legs, do you?
That I have not done. That I have not. But we enjoy it so much. But obviously the movies are a big part of that whole culture, and there are so many great ones. There's one that's more recent, came out, I want to say 2017 or so, something like that, and it was the movie Coco, which was that's a really good one, and I think it was maybe the theme that kind of got me, because it's about music, it's about guitar, and it's about a father who's a musician who is not wasn't there because of, it's a really touching story. Yeah, and there are some scenes in it where, I forget the entire plot, I don't want to get the plot wrong, but where the father dies, but there's this sort of spirit. The whole thing is it's based in on being able to visit the dead, like the Mexican, you know what I mean? Yeah, the dead thing. So there's past spirits that they're connecting to, but there's this scene where there's this main song, and the boy starts playing this song that his father wrote, and he's saying to remember me, because he's not there because he's touring and doing all this stuff. And his grandmother, who doesn't say a word the whole movie, starts singing, and it's just I'm like, Fawcett, yeah, Captain Fawcett. That's one of the more touching Disney films.
Somebody has written in and said that that you're a virtuoso, that you excel telling stories in music, and I mean your reference to films there, and some of your recent, the brilliant stuff with Dream Theater, with the projections and things. Is this something that you're interested in? Because the way your music tells a story, I mean, adding that to visuals, is film scoring something that's
been something that our band has been asked about almost since the beginning, because the music, it definitely has this cinematic vibe to it, and people often ask me, hey, you ever get into film scoring? Would you ever be interested in that? Is that and the answer is yes, I'd be interested in it. It's not something that we've actually ever parlayed, into, and there have been several musicians who quite successfully have done that. I mean, Trent Reznor being one of them, Trevor Rabin from Yes being another one. I mean, these guys are you watch a movie and you're like, wait, he did the music for these major movies. So, yeah, it would be fantastic.
As a hugely renowned guitarist, you're known actually for picking your notes. How actually, and separating it out. How do you come about doing that?
Well, I mean, that started by some of the guitar players that I was influenced by hearing that sound and then wanting to figure out how to do that. Some good examples were Al Di Meola. When I heard the album Friday Night in San Francisco, it was Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, and Paco de Lucia just playing acoustic in San Francisco. Really famous live tour that they did. And it's just insane guitar playing where you pick all the notes like that. And another one is Steve Morse and his band, the Dregs and the Dixie Dregs, and Steve Morse band, and he played in this style that's more like bluegrass, rock, country, classical, all these different things mixed, but he has this amazing picking technique. And when I heard that, I was like, I want to be able to do that, so I started to kind of investigate how to do that.
So does guitar practice ever become just play, or do you always maintain as practice?
It does oftentimes become actually pretty creative. You know, there's something about like practicing the instrument and doing something that, I don't know, puts you in this state, like you were talking about going to the gym, where you're trying to build a certain technique, you're trying to build a certain muscle or get something in shape. And as you're doing that, you know, part of that process is repetition and focus, but that can very quickly just turn a corner and like, oh wait, that was kind of cool. What did they just do? And you start exploring that, and that turns into creativity. So yeah, I think some of the shorter practices tend to just be practice, because maybe you have a certain amount of time, or maybe it's before a show and I have 15 minutes, so I'm going to warm up. But if you're sitting there, I guarantee if you're sitting there playing guitar for longer than a half hour, 45 minutes, that creative thing starts to kick in, and it just like, it kind of starts to
And you're talking about warming up there. I mean, obviously, so, I mean, it's an intense show. You've just done 6 shows in 7 nights. I noticed that just before you went on stage, you were doing a couple of physical limbering up movements. Do you actually limber up with your guitar on the day as well?
Exactly. So that's when I do that, you know, backstage. It's part of my sort of ritual, is just playing a bit and making sure that the smaller muscles are all warmed up. You're not walking on stage cold. There's all different schools of thought for that. You know, not playing too much before you walk. Some guys don't play at all, and they just want to walk on stage and be fresh. I think it's important to be limber so you don't get injured.
Yeah.
And so you can play your best from the first note, you know.